My first Sunday back with you all, I said I would spend these first 4 weeks we had back together sharing insights from my time away. And I have done that sharing well-worn sayings with my renewed appreciation for them, as well as some nuances to them. And today we explore a final one, the concept of leave no trace. The Leave No Trace organization is a nonprofit dedicated to educating people about how best to visit and enjoy our natural world. They have 7 principles for visiting the outdoors, and we will explore those 7 throughout our service today. One of them, and we're doing them out of order during the service, but one of them is to travel and camp on durable surfaces. That's the principle. And with more detail, they write, quote, "The goal of travel outdoors is to move through natural areas while avoiding damage to the land, foliage, or waterways. Understanding how travel causes impact is necessary to accomplish this goal. Travel damage occurs when surface vegetation or communities of organisms are trampled beyond recovery. Durable surfaces include established trails, campsites, rock, gravel, and dry grasses or snow. Good campsites are found, not made. Altering a site is not necessary." So the recommendation when going outside is to try and stick to the already worn paths, the already established campsites, so that we don't trample living things, destroy plants, disrupt ecosystems. Travelers don't always realize the damage they do by their footsteps and their packs and their tents. Leave No Trace says to stick to places already impacted, or places where the impact will be minimal. In this way, we can protect the world around us, we can avoid damage, we can help to allow the earth and its creatures to flourish. By walking lightly and making as little change as possible, we can have the biggest positive impact. This place that we share, that we build together, is a good campsite, a durable surface. We can recognize that. We have come here because we believe in what this community does. The bones are good, the history strong, the values true. We are here because there is something here worth building on. Finding places like this to belong to is part of what helps to make a full and fulfilled life. When we go outside, we try to disturb as little as possible. Here, we know there is not only room for change, but that we are called to refine, to rework, to expand, to imagine, grow, and indeed change. We know that no organization is perfect, and it is our work to make things better, to alter this campsite so that it reflects even more the values we share and the hopes that we have. In nature, we want to disrupt as little as possible, but here we want to disrupt, disturb, make waves, make change. Here we want to have the maximum positive impact, and that means doing something, committing ourselves to action. It means learning and listening, paying attention to what the world needs, and then doing it even when it's hard. Committed to ensuring the survival of durable surfaces and good campsites, we gather together this morning to explore, to reflect, and to grow. Another of the principles enjoins us to respect wildlife, writing, "Whenever you are in an outdoor space, you are in the natural habitat of many wild animals and should work to minimize your impact on them. Human impacts on wildlife can result in negative human-wildlife interactions, aggressive animals, a decline in the ecosystem's health, and relocated or euthanized animals. All these impacts can be avoided if visitors respect wildlife on all outdoor trips." The instruction is respect. And of course, that means a particular thing when we're talking about nature and wild animals. We don't feed them, we don't approach them, we don't scare them. We are in their habitat, and we ought to leave them to it. And we can do better about living in harmony in general. A month or so ago, a wild turkey came to live on the island where I live. She arrived from Queens, where she had somehow gotten from Manhattan. No one knows where she started. No one exactly knows how she's made it borough to borough, but there she is, and she's surviving. And there's a special kind of delight that many of us feel when we see her poking around the fields in the morning. She gets her picture taken a lot. Folks occasionally get a little bit closer to get their picture taken with her. But there's also a really strong community backlash when anyone lets their dog or their kid run at her or scare her. People are really protective of our turkey now because she's found her home among us, and it's our job to respect her presence and her needs. This is what we owe to each other as well. Respect for our individual humanity, respect for each other's presence and needs, respect for our histories, our potential futures, respect for the present in which each of us is living. In the case of our fellow humans, that respect does not come in the form of don't feed them, totally hands off, don't approach them. Maybe quite the opposite, actually. Respect for our fellow humans comes in the form of taking care of one another, celebrating our uniqueness, recognizing that we each have a story to tell about who we are and where we come from, and listening carefully to those stories. It means understanding that no one of us is more deserving of resources or care than any other, and building up a world in which every person is safe and loved and heard. For some of the principles that I'm going to share this morning, I've chosen a poem to pair with it. And so for this principle of respecting wildlife, I offer to you the poem My Father and Myself Facing the Sun by Japanese-American poet Lawson Fusao Inada. We are both strong, dark, bright men, though perhaps you might not notice, finding two figures flat against the landscape like the shadowed backs of mountains, which would not be far from wrong, for though we both have on Western clothes and he is seated on a yellow spool of emptied and forgotten telephone cable, and I recline on a green aluminum lounge, we are both facing into the August sun, as august as Hiroshima and the autumn. There are differences, however, if you care to discover, coming close, respectfully. You must discover the landscape as you go. Come, it is in the eyes, the face, the way we would greet you stumbling as you arrive. He is much the smooth, grass-brown slopes reaching knee-high around you as you walk. I am the cracks of cliffs and gullies, pieces of secret deep in the back of the eye. But he is still my father and I, his son. After a while, there is time to go fishing, both of us squatting on rocks in the dusk, leaving peaks and tree line responsible for light. There's a lake below, which both of us acknowledge by facing forward like the sun. Ripples of fish, moon, luminous insects, frogs, owls, crickets at their sound, deer, raccoon, badger come down to drink. At the water's edge, the children are fishing, casting shadows from the enormous shoreline. Everything functions in the function of summer. And gradually, and not by chance, the action stops, the children hush back among rocks, and also watch, with nothing to capture but dusk. There are 4 of us, together among others, and I am not at all certain what this all means, if it means anything, but feel with all my being that I must write this down, if I write anything. My father, his son, his grandsons, strong, serene, night, 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 before the following morning.
Good morning. I'm Jackie Nadler. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Another of the principles says, plan ahead and prepare. They write, when outdoor visitors plan ahead and prepare, it helps to accomplish trip goals safely and enjoyably while simultaneously minimizing damage to the land. Prepare for extreme weather, hazards, and emergencies. So too, we must plan ahead and prepare. This is what keeps organizations like the Unitarian Society of Ridgewood thriving and healthy, and able to do the work of caring for one another and changing the world. Without the generosity and gifts of each of you, we could not plan ahead. We could not ethically pay our staff or fund our programs. You create this place. You sustain this place. You build this durable surface for future generations, just as others built it for us. We build over and over through our giving, but also through our participation.
Another principle asks us to dispose of waste properly. The waste humans create while enjoying outdoor spaces can have severe impacts if not disposed of properly. It is crucial to crucial to anticipate the types of waste you will need to dispose of and know the proper techniques for disposing of each type of waste in the area you are visiting. The website provides information on how best to dispose of different types of waste, human food, etc. There is a way to safely get rid of all that we need to if we are properly educated. So often we carry around things that hinder us, that harm us. We don't dispose properly of that which weighs us down. We cling to old narratives. We cling to anger or regret or anxiety.
Whether you have spoken aloud or stayed in the quiet, let yourself release some of what troubles you. Let it flow out from you. And as you breathe in, instead focus on compassion, on kindness, on the consideration that we can offer to each other. This is one of the principles: be considerate of others, be courteous, yield to other users on the trail, let nature's sounds prevail, avoid loud noises and voices. Take another breath in. We will come into some time of silence together, remembering that we are called to be considerate, to think of others' experiences, to make choices that allow others to go first, to shine. In the silence, we remember to listen more than we speak, and that there is truth and wisdom in the quiet. There is wisdom in the quiet. Thinking of others is a simple act that can change the world. Breathe. Breathe again. Remember that we can save one another. With our compassion and our love. So may it be. Another of the principles states to leave what you find. They write, the items we find in nature have a role to play, either in the ecosystem or the story of the landscape. Leaving what we find in place helps to preserve both, allow others a sense of discovery by leaving rocks, plants, archaeological artifacts, and other objects of interest as you find them. Preserve the past, they write. Observe cultural or historic structures and artifacts, but do not touch them. Do not build structures, furniture, or dig trenches. Leave what you find is another form of respect. It's another form of preserving, protecting, maintaining the earth around us. The earth isn't here for our plunder, our personal gain, our glory. We are just one part of the vast and magnificent world. And yet we have a history of treating it as if it is ours to take. Instead of cultivating gratitude for the way the earth sustains us, we as a species have a tendency to treat the earth as if it owes us something more than the beauty it already provides, something more than the food and water it offers that allows our survival, something more than the joy and adventure and the journey of its vastness. Our history shows us wanting more and more and more. We as a species and as individuals have a tendency to put ourselves first. We do this often in relation to the earth and also in relation to each other. Sometimes we see ourselves as different or special or more deserving, or we imagine that what we have earned entirely through our own awesomeness. And yet we know this is not the case. We are indeed all special and different and deserving and awesome, but we are also a small part of the big world. And we would do well to remember that all of the things we have, material wealth, strength, love, safety, health, these have come through some combination of effort and luck and social construction and timing and genetic lottery, and potentially they've come to us through injustice toward others. Instead of putting ourselves first, instead of taking, we would do well at times to remember to leave, to give. There's an old saying, you can't take it with you when you go. You know this one? It's meant to remind folks that hoarding wealth does us no good when we come to die, as we all come to die, because we can't take it with us when we go. We leave it behind at the end. The saying encourages us to use what we have in the here and now, but I think we can also understand it as instructing us to remember that we can leave behind something that matters. We can use the power and the privilege that we have to leave behind something good, something better. As we reflect on leaving behind, I offer you this poem. It's by Denise Levertov, a British poet of Welsh and Russian Jewish descent, and it's titled In California, Morning, Evening, Late January. Pale, then enkindled, light advancing, emblazoning summits of palm and pine, the dew lingering, scripture of scintillas. Soon the roar of mowers, cropping the already short grass of lawns, men with long-nozzled cylinders of pesticide poking at weeds, at moss in cracks of cement, and louder roar of helicopters off to spray vineyards where braceros try to hold their breath. And in the distance, bulldozers, excavators, babble of destructive construction, banded by deep oak shadow, airy shadow of eucalyptus, miner's lettuce, tender untasted and other grass, unmown, luxuriant, no green more brilliant, fragile paradise. At day's end, the whole sky, vast, unstinting, flooded with transparent mauve, tint of wisteria, cloudless over the malls, the industrial parks, the homes with the lights going on, the homeless arranging their bundles. Who can utter the poignance of all that is constantly threatened, invaded, expended, and constantly, nevertheless, persists in beauty? Tranquil as this young moon just risen and slowly drinking light from the vanished sun. Who can utter the praise of such generosity or the shame? The last principle is to minimize campfire impacts. They write, once necessary for cooking and warmth, campfires are steeped in history and tradition. Some people would not think of camping without a campfire. Campfire building is also an essential skill for every camper. Yet the natural appearance of many areas has been degraded by the overuse of fires and increasing demand for firewood. Moreover, wildfires continue to threaten outdoor spaces and are primarily caused by humans. We can minimize campfire impacts by keeping a few key things in mind. Now this time, I'm going to offer you the poem first. This is by the United States Poet Laureate, Ada Limon, and it's titled Dead Stars. Out here, there's a bowing even the trees are doing. Winter's icy hand at the back of all of us. Black bark, slick yellow leaves, a kind of stillness that feels so mute, it's almost in another year. I am a hearth of spiders these days, a nest of trying. We point out the stars that make Orion as we take out the trash, the rolling containers, a song of suburban thunder. It's almost romantic as we adjust the waxy blue recycling bin until you say, man, we should really learn some new constellations. And it's true, we keep forgetting about Antlea, Centaurus, Draco, Lacerta, Hydra, Lyra, Lynx. But mostly, we're forgetting we're dead stars too. My mouth is full of dust and I wish to reclaim the rising, to lean in the spotlight of streetlight with you toward what's larger within us, toward how we were born. Look, we are not unspectacular things. We've come this far, survived this much. What would happen if we decided to survive more, to love harder? What if we stood up with our synapses and flesh and said, no, no, to the rising tides? Stood for the many mute mouths of the sea, of the land. What would happen if we used our bodies to bargain for the safety of others, for Earth? If we declared a clean night, if we stopped being terrified, if we launched our demands into the sky, made ourselves so big people could point to us with the arrows they make in their minds, rolling their trash bins out after all of this is over? We have evolved beyond needing campfires for warmth and light. We have other tools. And while they are beloved, we are encouraged to let go of them in favor of a greater love of this planet and ourselves, of our own survival. When I was a kid at Sleepaway Summer Camp, we had campfires every week. They were an institution. And I have fond memories of the way the flame flickered, of watching friends on the other side through the dancing light, of the smell and the heat that was too much if you got too close. I understand not wanting to give up the things that bring us joy. I understand how hard it is to let go of things we love, even when we know they aren't good for our long-term survival. I know how hard it is to turn down convenience and comfort in favor of some future benefit. We humans put pesticides into the earth, we let plastics spill into our oceans, we pollute the air. We've lost a sense of stewardship and developed a sense of entitlement. We are no longer in harmony, no longer in sync. We struggle now to make hard changes, right? Especially when the benefit isn't immediately apparent. There are so many ways that each of us could better serve our planet, in big ways like how we vote and where we put our money and our energy, and in smaller ways like how we use and reuse the goods available to us. And I get it, paper towels are easy, doing the laundry is a pain, composting is hard, Ziploc bags are convenient, taking public transportation or biking, maybe not so convenient. I know that I could go on, I'm sure you could go on. We live in a culture that prizes immediate gratification and the easy way. Protecting this earth and each other is more often than not a challenging choice with delayed gratification. Doesn't sound fun. The demand to minimize the impact of our campfires, or we might say the dumpster fires of our current world, that demand to act with our values, that's a countercultural demand, right? Privileging and respecting the collective good, leaving what isn't ours, giving more than we take, being considerate of one another, improving on the good and solid work we have done, letting go of what doesn't serve us, looking ahead with forethought and care so that generations can stand on the banks of the lake and remember the grandparents, so that we can continue to be awed by the generous and immense beauty of this earth, so that each new generation made of star stuff can look up and be reminded that we all belong to one another and to this miraculous blue-green planet. That is countercultural work. The lessons of Leave No Trace are many, and they begin with cultivated love for ourselves, for each other, and for this place that we call home. A love that is not small and immediate, it's not always convenient, but a love that is vast and timeless and so much more fulfilling. May we be filled with awe and love, moved always to care for and respect this earth and all its creatures. Plan ahead and prepare, travel and camp on durable surfaces, dispose of waste properly, leave what you find, minimize campfire impacts, respect wildlife, be considerate of others. We've explored these, some metaphorically, some concretely. They are designed to apply to the wild outdoors, but they apply to whatever environment we find ourselves in. We are asked to leave no trace, but in truth we will, no matter what we do. We will leave a mark on this world because we have lived, and we can decide what our legacy will be. May we indeed leave a trace, more than a trace, a legacy of generosity, compassion, respect, and love that will last longer than the stars for generations to come.